Hello, John McConnin here. I am going to go fairly quickly. Hello, John McConnin here. I'm going fairly quickly today, frankly, because it's raining and I have got to pick up a kid. Now, because soccer's canceled. So I want to emphasize the lot. I'm going to go up on Zillow or Realtor.com or one of these and show you something I'm about to teach you today. But in short, my name is John McConnin. I'm an attorney and a broker. I am also a solar home owner, and that is one of the three prongs where we're going to show you how we can save at least 5 to 10% on the purchase of a home when you follow the instructions I'm going to give today. And the last two prongs are going to be the last part of the video, only because really the focus is solar homes and the value, and you don't need to work with me, although I think in the end you're going to see it might be a good idea. All right, so let me just share. There we go. I'm going to share my slides with you. Camera, they always change. These things are always changing. Control room. Let me go to a control room and hope that shares the slides. Oh, that's control room. Cameraman, screen share. Here we go. Share. Now, I think you'll be able to see me. Hopefully, maybe you can't see me in that lower right corner, but the content's what's important. So I'm going to look up there every once in a while, but I'm not even sure that you can see me right now. So the purpose is I'm going to show you in the first part how to calculate the solar home delta and see that in many ways on the internet, well, no, just in the real estate market, solar homes are going to be worth 5 to 10% more than you're actually having to pay. And because there's a mispricing in the market. And we're going to go over what that is and how it could be changing. I mean, that's my focus, really. I'm going to help bring an end to inefficiencies in the market. But in the meantime, I'm going to help you make $50,000 to $100,000 in savings. After you see all three steps, I think you'll agree it's no problem. As I said, I'm a California real estate broker, lawyer, and I'm a solar home owner. Now, which leads into this. As a real estate broker, I've sold over 170 homes for people. And some of those homes had been for people that bought or leased solar systems because they were green. And they're like, I want to help the planet. And yeah, okay, I know it would be cheaper if I just bought the electricity, but I like having these solar panels on my own. Well, that was a while ago. Solar panels have gotten more efficient. I imagine in your area too, electricity rates have gone up. But I had that information hanging over my head. And I also know that people called me because I'm also a lawyer because they were having trouble getting their leasing companies to accept their buyers. And consequently, when I was going to, say, Costco, and I'd see the solar home guys in their booth, and they told me, hey, you can save money on solar. And I'm like, well, but I have to buy the system. They're like, even after you make the payments on the loan, you're going to save money. And I heard it enough. I sort of believed them, but I was still skeptical. And I'm like, it'd probably just be better to wait until the panels get even more efficient and I save even more money. So I really didn't look into this, even though I live in a good area for solar. And as you go inland in California, and we're going to discuss all the other places where it's a good deal in a future slide. But so I was a skeptic. But then my son, who was a robotics competitor for Poway High School, who was in the engineering academy, one of the requirements to get credit towards graduation in the engineering academy was to be an intern. And he chose to be an intern at a solar company. And he said, Dad, even after the loans, you and Mom are going to save a lot of money on electricity. And I was like, well, smart kid. I guess I'll go for it. And I started interviewing agents. I learned a lot during the interviews. There were one or two guys that were head and shoulders in knowledge over some of the rest of the salespeople. I picked their brains and I chose one. And when necessary, he's my go-to guy as part of the program I'll be offering yesterday. What we're going to cover today: the benefits of owning a solar home. We're going to talk about the different types of ownership and how they impact you upon the transfer because you've purchased the home. 3 and 5 we're going to merge because I think now, before I did this without a third screen, so I wasn't going to go up on the net, but now I'm going to go up on the net, probably pick Zillow, and help you find the best solar homes and how to realize those potential deals. And probably right after that or during that, we're going to discuss the solar home delta and the 2 ways we calculate the approximate solar home delta so you can do it quickly. The solar home delta is really where I'm going with this because I've spent a lot of time figuring it out, and I want to be able to convince lenders that the solar home delta is real. They can calculate it using the time value of money and the power production projections in the end, because people will be saving, say, $500 a month on their electricity. That would entitle them to buy a bigger home. And when that happens, the market will be more efficient and the sellers will be able to get their price. But that's not there today. But that's my future goal. But right now I'm educating buyers and showing them how they can make a ton of money doing this in terms of savings. And I'm going to show you how to triple dip on the savings if you work with me or a similar agent or yourself, really, because someone's got to be your solar home expert. Could be you. I'm going to show you why, when doing the things you have to do to recognize the solar home delta, you're going to be in a great negotiating position. I call it, if it wasn't in the solar home context, I call it pre-negotiating with the listing agent. I'm going to give you some of the tips that I use, and you'll understand why you always want, even if you're working with a buyer's realtor, you want to pre-negotiate. And then the third dip is going to be the fact that because you're likely to be doing a lot of work if you're motivated and you're doing the home search and you're like, say, my wife or everybody else these days, you're going on the net, you're going to find a site you like, whether it's a Realtors IDX or Zillow or Realtor.com or Redfin. You're going to investigate neighborhoods. You're going to investigate prices. You're going to look at homes. You're going to have an idea what you're doing. And then, because it's solar, you're going to have to contact the listing agent. So you're doing a lot of the work of the buyer's agent. And then you're going to need to, and after that, then maybe an agent gets involved, helping you show the property, and we can go through the listing agent, and helping you negotiate, make sure the disclosures are there, which is very important with solar. In California, does not, as of 2 months ago, did not have the disclosures that they need. And when talking with my other solar, well, put it this way, my solar home expert in Arizona, he said Arizona, and he showed them to me. They've informed some of the things I'm going to teach you about disclosures that you should demand in writing. But California doesn't have them. And so you're going to see why someone needs to be a solar home expert on your team to recognize these savings. I mean, you could get lucky, but why not do this with intent? So now we're going to the benefits of owning solar. The savings can be quite large. It's very impressive. For instance, I have a 10-year loan on our solar panels. They're costing us somewhere over $200 a month. I pay the mortgage. My wife actually pays the electricity bill. But I cleared this with her. And I'm aware of it when looking at it. And we've still recognized, even after paying those loans, we got a tax break, which is not an import to you usually as a resale buyer. But we also have tremendous savings in our monthly electricity costs, especially after last summer being hot and running our air conditioning all the time. My wife said, I said, in a previous video, I said we made over $400 because when I calculated, I figured 425, 435. She goes, no, it's over $500. So we were making $300. We were saving $300 a month over our solar loan. And I think you might be tracking with me. If you're buying solar panels free and clear of the cost, the investment cost, you can be making $500 a month free. And let me pull up a mortgage calculator. No, we'll get to it at the right time. So another thing is you have satisfaction owning solar. Just like when you're satisfied you have a nice car. Imagine a solar car would be that way. Or for me, the most satisfied thing I ever was working on, if my phone goes off, I'll stop the ringing, was I bought an expensive bike when I was doing mountain bike riding, and it was so stable and it turned so nicely. It just stiff. It was strong. And it was, it had shocks. So you absorbed the bumps, the big bumps particularly. You had a tremendous efficiency in feeling like your legs were spinning and the bike was moving. I mean, oddly, that's the sort of satisfaction I have, and I imagine others would, when you're owning a solar home that's working, and at the end of the year, you're like, I mean, I turned on that air conditioning and I produced that much electricity during the day that I could be really comfortable on a hot day, 90, 95, 97-degree days. It was just amazing to me. Now, the thing that popped me into this is because I used to trade. I traded for a living for about 5 or 7 years while having, well, was it before? It doesn't matter. And I understand the value of a call option on future rising prices, whether they be stocks or futures. And I had a friend who traded electricity. I've traded oil. I never traded electricity, but it's the same principle. You buy an option at a strike price, and if the price settles higher than that, you get that difference in that price per contract that you own, or per share that's in a contract if you're buying stocks. So, for instance, if the price of electricity was, say, $20, and 2 years from now is $50, you'd be entitled to, this is roughly, you'd be entitled to $30 per share, even though you didn't own the shares because you had the option. Now, that option usually costs you a good deal of money if you're going out a long time like that. But in this case, let's look at this from a seller standpoint. The seller not only has that hedge against rising electricity rates for, if the equipment lasts for 30 or 40 years with some companies, 20 at least, that's usually, the warranties are at least 20. And they can start realizing savings over the cost of their loan right away. If they buy it, well, there was that buy-in, but you got to be happy with the time value of money if you're the seller there. But like, for instance, we just started off saving $300 a month. Yeah, I mean, instead of the money going to the electricity, some of it, 200 something of it, gets diverted to the insurance company. But instantly, $300 savings plus that hedge against rising electricity rates, offset by the fact that over about 20 years from now, our solar panels might be producing at 85% efficiency. But where else can you see such a return on your investment, in that your investment instantly makes you money and has a chance to go up dramatically over time? You're getting paid now instead of paying for that hedge, for that insurance. It's spectacular. If you think about investments and you can instantly hedge electricity rates and save money on your bill, the only question is, do you think you're going to save more in 6 months, or you should start right now? If you're buying a home, and let's say you're in markets where you're 10, 15 miles off the coast, you're going to see, like, for instance, where I live, 20%. Right now, there were 82 homes, 88 homes that had solar on, that were for sale in Poway. 18 of them had solar on them. So we're looking at 20%. When I've checked in the past, it gets up to 25 during the season. Coastal homes in North County, 10% to 15% have solar panels on them. So anywhere where there's enough homes for sale with solar panels on them, I think it's almost a no-brainer to consider them if you're willing to do a little bit of work, or have your solar home expert do a little work. Okay. I'm going to have to speed up my talk if I'm going to end within the hour and show you a demonstration on Zillow, say. There's really 3 major types of ownership you need to consider. The seller owns the home, the seller owns the solar panels, the seller leases the solar panels, and the seller is getting electricity, sort of like from an electric company, but a different one, who's producing them with the solar panels on the roof. Essentially, lease and power production agreement can be analyzed similarly in most circumstances. That's the lawyer in me. You want to find out who's maintaining the homes. You want to find out who owns them. Most of the time, it'll be the third party, if not all the time. You want to find out how long the lease is for, what it's cost, how much. Let's say you're buying a home with solar panel lease on it, and there's 10 people in the home using it, and there's only 1 or 2 of you. Well, you might actually have lower electricity rates than the cost of your lease. So you have to look into that. Now, I don't say skip out on these, because these things are more complicated and easier and a little riskier. They're an opportunity for you to buy that house for much less than the fair market value, and because fewer people are competing, because they still have to qualify for the lease or the power production agreement. So if you are really up to speed on this, You understand time value of money. There could be a massive opportunity for you there in a lease. The problem is they're harder to find because sometimes I've noticed that realtors don't put that information up in their remarks, and they're hard to find on the regular search portals on the internet. Now let's get to owned outright. In this case, most of the time I see realtors saying house has solar. Sometimes they say it's owned outright. That's a good piece of information. Sometimes they even say pay no electricity. But I sense that brokers are afraid to let their agents do that because they don't want to get liability, which is another reason why the marketplace doesn't know about this, which is another reason why it's an opportunity, because there's inefficiencies in the marketplace. Plus, I know for a fact, I've spoken with agents. They've all been concerned that they've made mistakes on these deals that have called me. And except for the ones, there's a solar home agent in Arizona who's not made any mistakes that he's informed me about, and I work with him, so we're going to oversee it. But the deals are so good for buyers, the agents' mistakes, the deal still went ahead and closed. Now, in an owned outright situation, most of the time, I believe you'll be getting the homes free and clear, but you want to make sure of that. You want to have escrow and title confirming that in the preliminary title report. I like to have escrow read them anyway. Make sure all that make sure they're aware that if there's a loan against those panels, even if it's a personal loan, maybe not as much. I mean, you're going to have to understand that, right? As a lawyer, I might not be afraid of a seller keeping the personal loan and all the money from the sale and just saying they're going to pay off that lender in the future. But I think I'm going to make sure I get permission from the seller to contact their lender. Well, I'm going to play that one by ear. But I don't want people coming to my home and saying, well, faking me out with a collection crap. And then, that is so annoys me. But then saying, well, we're going to have to take it off your roof. And I'm going to say, no, it's my house. You don't have any deal with me, collect from the other guy. But you probably don't want to worry about that. So you're going to want to make sure this is taken care of at escrow with title while you're buying the home. But I'm not trying to scare you, because that's going to be rare. Most of the time, you're going to get these panels free and clear, or that should be your goal during the negotiation. If it doesn't happen, don't buy the house. If you want to look into it further, great. There's probably opportunity there. That wasn't for scaring. That was just, I'm a lawyer and I like to cover as many scenarios as I think might be relevant. So I would say, as a buyer, if you're not going to really dive into, what do they say, the weeds on this, just get a home with solar panels, and the solar panels will be transferred to you free and clear. Don't take over a second or a carryback. And then you should reap the rewards that we'll be talking about soon. So focus on a free and clear transfer. Now, you're going to want to make sure who's responsible for the maintenance, and maybe you as the owner. There may be warranties from the panel companies. There may be warranties from the installers. I know the risks in those scenarios and understand that. The more work you have to do, usually the more the opportunity is, because it might scare off your competition. Leases and power production agreements are usually third-party ownership. But again, you want to read those agreements. You want to find out how hard it is to qualify. You want to get that ball rolling early on in the process if you're buying a home and you're going to have to take over a lease or a power production agreement. Now, this is the really fun part. This is the first of three prongs. One that only applies to solar home buyers, and then the next two prongs can help you realize multiple percent, probably maybe up to 5% in savings that are additional to this first pop. And if you stay to the end, we're going to cover it. Okay, so we've got how much more is a solar home really worth to buyers? This is the solar home delta. Solar home delta is complicated, so today we're going to talk about the approximate solar home delta for you. I think you'll be satisfied with this idea. So I went to EnergySage.com and I found a chart, I think like a 2019 chart, saying that a 6 solar 6 kilowatt solar system can be installed in these states: Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Massachusetts, Maryland, New Jersey, New York, Texas, Washington, for around $19,000. Some of them start at like 16 and they go up. Massachusetts over 19. That's for 6 kilowatts. Now, I have 4 kids, so we had some pretty good usage. I installed over 7-watt system, and I have a pretty sunny place. So I'm thinking 6 watts may be conservative. Though there must be smaller houses, but like I said, it's not like my house is that big, but maybe houses in California are bigger because we don't have basements. Maybe those houses don't need as much in other states because they're better insulated. I mean, I don't know. But now in this third column, we're seeing savings between $16,000 and $30,000 for the owners of these homes projected over 20 years. And many times the systems will be producing power for 30 to 40 years. Although I think converters have to be, well, converters are only warranted, I think, for 10 years. So you might be buying a second, and if you're going 40 years, a third converter. And right now, you know, I can tell you what mine costs, but I don't want to steer people wrong on that one. So, but I'm sure they'll go down over time. So I went to Energy Save Solar Calculator on my house, and they said I was saving $94,000. And so that's well more than 5%, closer to 10%, but more than 10% value on the cost of my home today if you were to buy it. So if you were to buy it, they're saying on their calculations that you're getting you'll have a $94,000 savings over 20 years, and my panels are supposed to go out a lot longer than that. Now, I don't know if these numbers would totally work for you because they don't even know our power usage in that one. They didn't know how much my kids use, although I might have told them what my average bill were, but I estimated it conservatively. But I hope you're beginning to realize, wow. Now, there's time value of money calculations, so maybe you can knock that down. Maybe they included my $14,000 tax break. So 80, maybe you're looking at 80 or 75. But that's more than well more than 5% savings on the price of my home. So if you can buy a house in one of these areas and you can cover all your electricity and not pay for it, you're looking at something that's worth 5 or 10% more to you just based on your payments. For instance, in America, it's been said, I can't take credit for this, that people don't buy a house, they buy their mortgage payments and the tax payments, really. But they buy the mortgage payments, and then they see how much house that can afford. So in this case, if you were to go, let me do this. Let me pull this up. This is now the second way to calculate the solar home delta. If you notice that, like me, if you think your usage is similar in my house, here's the other way you can back into the solar home delta. $100,000 mortgage, and I didn't pop that in because last time I did 4 1/4, 3.92 interest rate. Now that can vary depending on when you're seeing this video and your area, you know, with an eighth or quarter probably. But if you're saving $473,000 a month in payments, that's like getting $100,000 in value in terms of the purchase power of what that 473 does for you. For instance, when my brother was buying a condo, I explained that a condo that was charging $425, let's see what there was a $225 difference in the condo price. Let's see if that's $40,000. You know, this is a long time ago, but yeah. So that's more like a $50,000 difference to him. So he was like, oh, so I can pay more in a place where there's a lower HOA, that's providing you get the same value, HOA, and still have the same monthly outlay. I was like, you got it. And he's like, brother, because he likes to say that like Hulk Hogan back then. He was like, brother, you know, you just explained a whole lot to me. And so, you know, I'm sure if there's a second or third house and you've had mortgage payments, you understand this. If you're a first-time buyer, this might be an interesting thought to you, like, because he figured $100,000 would be like $800-900 in payments, as opposed to 478, what we just saw. And that really depends on the interest rates. That's it can change. If you bought cars on payments, you see that you buy, maybe that's where people get thrown off. You can buy $10,000 for X amount a month. And it seems a lot more than that. Because car payments can be like $600 or $700 a month, but you're paying those off over 5 to 7 years. And that's why it takes more money. So anyway, that's what you need to be aware of. Oh boy, did I lose my, no, good, we're back. So you need to be aware of that if you're saving and you can go about calculating that by asking good questions of the listing agent. And we're going to get to those questions at the end, but you should be able to roughly guess how much money you're going to be saving in electricity. You can calculate the schedules from electricity companies, usually the ones I've checked, that's been the case. And then you can see back bills and current usage. You can see how many people are in the house, ask them if they do anything unusual. Are they running a lot of systems? Do they have a pool? And you're going to have that pool too. And so if you don't buy a new pump, you'll probably have a similar electricity rate, unless they say they ran, if they were using the hot tub all the time. And they're going to want to try to help to minimize the bill for you anyway, most of the time. So we're going to talk about the questions and the things you want to get in disclosures in a mortgage calculator. I'm gonna have to let me save this now, just because I saw a change there. I don't know if I should have revealed all that information, should I? Oh well. I won't save it right now. Now I'm going to explain in Module 5 here that there's a potential triple dip in savings to you, and then we're going to go up on the net and see it. You got the solar home delta. Because we're going to ask for the disclosures that you're going to see later to help you analyze, it has to happen. Either you're going to do it or who's ever working for you is going to do it, or I'm going to do it for you. While you're doing it, you develop a rapport with the listing agent. As listing agents develop a rapport with you and they realize you're going to help them with their disclosures and make sure they get all that information out, because one, you want it, and two, by getting it out, the seller starts removing liability, and so does that listing agent and his broker. You're going to be a compelling person to make that deal with them. Now, one of the things I love to do, because I've sent this out, I've referred files out all over. I have a transaction management thing through my law firm where I manage the file and I help people do it. So I've spoken with a lot of listing agents over time, and I've been a listing agent. And I know the types of people, when they're asking good, smart questions, I feel like that's the kind of people I want to work with. Now, one of my favorite questions that I actually learned from our solar home expert in Arizona, Phil, but he helped me buy my house because I recognize the value of having an agent working for you. And he helped me buy my house where I currently live in Poway. As you develop that rapport with the agent, you start asking questions like, so my clients are really interested. I want to be able to help them get that deal. So when I'm talking to my buyer, should I say this is the type of agent that wants a simple, clean deal and isn't that price sensitive? Or is this someone who wants top dollar and is very price sensitive, and therefore, you can apply, therefore, maybe this is going to be a lot of work. And smart agents who've discussed these things with their sellers before, or smart agents who recognize you're an important buyer for their client to eliminate liability, will say, well, why don't you make an offer and I'll see what we can do, but I won't let it blow up the deal, or whatever that is. And then if you get that sort of response from a smart agent, you can start trying to get a feel for the price, and you can save 1%, 2%, 3%, 4% like that. Not 4 is a lot. 1%, 2%, or 3% like that, just like that. The other benefit is, are there multiple offers going on? Are you expecting any offers? You're seeing any? Are you representing any buyers? And then you get that information. If you find out that you've got a lot of competition, I'm going to find a way working with you to make sure that listing agent knows that by working with you, he's not going to miss out on much compensation, if any, if that's what you want to do. We're going to surrender all of our fee. I mean, you might have to pay me separately if you want to do that. We can surrender all our fee to them so you get the deal. Now, you probably want to surrender all our fee, and then I say, except for the legal commissions that I'm going to get paid, and I'll discuss those with them, and they're going to agree, especially if I'm helping them close this deal properly. So that's the triple dip. Discount, solar home delta, 5 to 10%. You've just seen as an opportunity, there's a possibility there. Discount another 1 or 2, maybe 3% from developing the rapport if if there's not a multiple offer situation. And then 3, but otherwise you're getting a house that you wouldn't get. So that's a huge opportunity. And maybe not paying more, right? I mean, because you get information and they want to work with you. Sharing the buyer's agent fee, because we're doing a lot of the work for the buyer. Now we can still refer out to a buyer's agent in a jurisdiction where you need that kind of support, and we'll take a smaller referral fee, or we go right to listing agents if you're willing to do some of the work and contact them and call them. Or, I mean, I could, in California, I could represent a buyer. I could be a buyer's agent as well, and we can work that out. And if you talk me into it and it's near my house, I could even represent you as a buyer's agent. But that's not really what I'm pitching. I'm pitching the idea of working together to help save you money, not me make a full buyer's fee or even split it with you. Now, let me just go right up. We're going to explain this while we're in Zillow. So let me pull this back up. We're still on schedule here. I'll go to the mortgage calculator one. We are going to go to Zillow, and we are going to go to Poway, California. And this is the solar homes that Zillow has listed in the marketplace. Now, the last time I was here, Zillow was missing a significant amount of the solar homes versus our MLS. And I showed our MLS, I showed Zillow, I showed some of the others, and none of them were close to the amount in the MLS. I was like, this is a shame, because I'm not really trying to get you links from all the buyer's agents. First, I want you to do the work and see if it's worthwhile, and then you can contact solar home experts that you're working with. You can contact me at any time, but I'll help you. I think Zillow made an improvement. So let me just first go here and let me explain. I take solar out and I apply. Good, it still stayed in Poway, and you can see there's 88 homes. Now, if I type in solar, and this is going to search the keywords, I don't know if it searches features. It didn't seem to be searching features last time. And that was the issue with the other websites as well. They were searching on the remarks, but not features. Agents almost always get the features right. Sometimes it's not in the remarks. But this time, we're looking at more than 20% of the homes in Poway have solar panels. That's consistent with the ratios I've seen usually, except for like dead of winter. So it's spring season getting going, and we're seeing a high percentage of solar homes. Now, as you go to the coast, you're going to see maybe 10 or 12%, 15%, depending on the town, in coastal San Diego. But as you go east, I've seen the percentages get as high as 40% as you go east. So this is a determination that you may want to make with respect to our first prong of saving big money. Now, while we're here, I might as well teach you the other prongs, or go over them with you. You may already know them. I always want to work with the listing agent first, because you got to get this information. It's important even to negotiate and develop the rapport. So I want to deal with the listing agents. These guys are most likely buyer's agents that are paying Zillow money. Now, in this case, and it's not always the case, in this one, I come down here and I always find out who the listing agent is. So far, it's been listed, I think, every time on Zillow and is findable. And you see that most likely that's the Windermere brokerage phone number. Scott is listed as a listing agent. I believe that's Scott's phone number. I would call Scott and ask him the questions that we're going to discuss soon to get the conversation rolling. Now, if you want to avoid a dispute over procuring cause, I would send an email just before or after and say, I mentioned to you I'm interested in the home. I'm still not sure whether I'm going to work with the listing agent or a buyer's agent, or I am working. If you're working with me, we're already going to have the script down. You're working with me. I'm going to be the buyer's agent, or I'm going to refer it out to someone in the area. That's depending on the capacity you chose to work with me. And you can bring that up with them. And then if you're interested in the home, I would definitely confirm right away, whether by text or email, that you'll be hearing from my agent soon, or we're still thinking about it before we hire an agent. I wouldn't want to mess around with procuring cause. I want to make it clear that the listing agent is not the procuring cause until you decide that you want to work directly with the listing agent. It should be in your court. Always. That's one of my points as a lawyer. Not a realtor, but as a lawyer. So that let's just do one more. See if it's consistent again. That's me because I have a Zillow account. I actually know this woman. Not well, but I see her around. We used to be a member. We played golf at the same place. So she is the contact agent, and she's the only one listed. So I believe she pays Zillow for her right to be representing her own property. And I think you're good there. So let's try one more. Oh, I just clicked on that. Whoops. And I must have clicked on a sponsored ad. That was tricky, wasn't it? Mary Gordon. Mary Gordon, 6279. 6279. She might owns her brokerage. Well, in this case, I'd call Mary and ask him the questions we'll be discussing next. So let's back out of this. You can use these same ideas at the other websites. Some websites you can't even search on solar, so you're just going to have to figure out the homes at your price range and review the remarks. Hope to see solar in there, or solar owned would be ideal. Like this one says, own solar. And then during the transaction, you're going to want to make sure you're not having, that there's say no personal loans on it, or you're going to want to make sure if there's liens, they're satisfied. So let's go back to the slide. Now, let's just say there are reasons why it's not always easy to find solar homes on the net. Eventually, you want to be able to check it against multiple sites just to make sure you've got a complete list, or get it directly from the MLS. So we covered that quickly. I'll cover the other sites in videos. I've already done one. I'm going to cover them all. And eventually, they'll wind up in our members area. So far the review. You want a great data source. You want to, oh, yeah, I might have left this part out. The Solar Home Delta, just for basic comparisons at the beginning, I think you need to understand about pricing. Like, you can look at this estimate on Zillow, although you can influence that if you're the seller. So, if you're looking on Zillow, you might not want to trust this estimate, but you want to confirm it, say at Redfin, and there'll be a little different. But if all in a range, you're like, well, okay, that must be the price per square foot in the area if there's enough recent sales that went into that data. Then you're going to want to know, how is your home different that you're thinking of buying from all those other homes? Is it newer? I'm leaving out the solar panels, by the way. Is it newer? Does it have a better view? Does it have fewer bedrooms, more bedrooms? I mean, that's how you start getting a feel for what the price per square foot should be in an area. The more data you have, the closer you can come towards fair market value. And then you use the Solar Home Delta to figure out how much the home is worth with the solar panels to you. I hope that made sense. It does to me. I can help you. And the more time you spend doing it, the more you get an idea that since the banks and the appraisers and everybody else figure out what price per square foot is, the algos can help figure that out. And then you have to figure superior or inferior. Now, I think I've already explained how to optimize your negotiating position. It's very simple in California because you're going to, without being nasty, you're going to coach that listing agent into preparing the disclosures that I believe are necessary. We'll talk about some of those disclosures next. We're going to help them put them in writing and prepare it, make sure their buyer's agent, their seller is comfortable with it. And then they're going to realize that you can help them, and they're going to want to work with you. And they're probably going to want to work to make sure that you are the person who buys this property. Now, if you can represent yourself doing these things, great. If not, I don't see how you could do a better job anywhere than working with me, who is not trying to be the full commission agent. Because I want to make this, I want the Solar Home Delta to be the decider. I want to work with as many people as possible. I want to educate everybody so this inefficiency goes away, because the banks make the solar home delta, which is my trademark, and I will be explaining to them and lenders. So that's a little piece that they have to pay on every transaction. That's my goal. But in the meantime, there's a massive opportunity for you. I'm going to have to leave in 5 minutes. There's a massive opportunity for you to save 5 or 10. I hope you can see the savings from the previous. I think 5 or 10% is not an unfair statement, which is a massive savings, plus the value of owning a solar home. So here are the questions. These questions will spur more questions. And again, if you're buying a home for fair market value and getting free solar, it can't hurt. But if you're really trying to maximize your value, you want to get these things. And you can avoid issues. Like every once in a while, like yesterday, I had a call. Someone was using my name saying that I set up a trust and they were trying to trick a bank out of it. Every once in a while, there's real estate frauds. So you want to avoid that too. How are the solar panels owned? How will ownership transfer? Size of the system, maker of the components, manufacturer of warranties. You want to see if they transfer. So you want to see the size of the system. You want to know how that ownership is going to transfer. We spoke about lease versus owned outright in power production agreement. If there's a pro tip, you want to get started immediately if it's a lease or a PPA, because it can take time. You want to find out. You want to be able to contact the leasing company or the PPA, make sure that you will be approved. You want to make sure those contingencies are built in writing in the contract, so that you have a time to decide after being approved or not approved, that the transaction isn't going to march on, and then all of a sudden you're stuck, even though and you have to argue over your deposit. You want to do this right. You want to estimate usage. So you want to be able to see new bills, old bills, ask them if they've got kids, if they've been running aquariums. I mean, I don't know. We want to find out about their power usage and compare it to how much they're saving. I think if you're working with a solar home expert who has comparisons, they're going to know if a system like the size that's up there is good for that area. I mean, it's very easy to do those things. Oh, not easy, but it can be done. You want to know what happens if the system goes down, or if you've got a month's worth of rain. Well, first of all, you can make it up. You can true it up if you have enough size systems. So you shouldn't be worried about it, but you want to make sure there's some good capacity in the system. Secondly, though, what if it went down and you have to use regular electricity for a while? Is the person off the grid? Because some people do build their homes off the grid. Not many, but something you want to make sure of. It's not a complete list. This varies very area by area. And, someone I think needs to be the solar home expert, you or the people you're working with. So if you were going to discuss this with me at my free consult, that if you're on my website, you just click through and go to my schedule. It's on the next page. And then we'll see if you qualify. If I feel like I can do a good job for you, and if your situation qualifies, we'll have a consult. And so you sign up for the time, and then you answer some questions about your goals. We'll talk about those goals in the consult as well, to see how much work you're willing to do if you're trying, period. Then we're going to figure out whether you want to work with listing agents or buyer's agents. Can we access a good list or a complete list of solar homes? Do you know how to read the disclosure statements? You're going to need help. Do you want to work with, again, a buyer's agent who's a solar home expert, or a listing agent who's a solar home expert, or someone I can train? Do you want me overseeing the file? And then what happens if you find a house that doesn't have solar and you've already working with us? What can we do to make this work for you? And I'm going to make an offer right now that will only, if you see this on my website, it's only going to last while this video is on the website. I will make sure that, first of all, it's going to cost you nothing up front for anybody, although there may be an option to reduce my commission completely. And just pay me outright, and you get the entire commission or percentage. But there's always going to be, well, no, there will be an option for most buyers that we would share the referral fee. For now, anything that we agree to, I'll make sure that you get, say, 60% of that referral fee and I get 40. But that's only going to be up as long as this video is on my website. This video is going to stay on YouTube forever, but this is all these things are subject to change because this could be 3 years from now. And the solar home delta could be a standard in the industry, which I hope. So we can do this fast too. I don't see any harm in signing up for a free strategy session to find out your goals and to see how we can save you a lot of money. Solar home or not, it's an opportunity for you, if you're willing to do the work, to take advantage of that. And the fact that therefore buyer's agents, even if we work with them, they're going to be willing to pay a good size referral fee, or we'll find another buyer's agent and I'll help you qualify good ones. Or we can go directly to the listing agent if you want to do that work. It's a massive opportunity to sort of beat on the new model where they give all the information on the net, make you do the work. You might as well get paid for it. Well, I got to go here now. Now, in a few weeks, my website will have these things. I'm transferring it over from my other website. It's not there yet at winnerscheck.com. And you can't access it at my other website because I'm closing that down. I just like the new funnel system I have better than the old system. At this point in time, could change. So that was the offer you can't refuse. Now, I know I'm not the Godfather, but there'll be no violence in my offers. But my offer is that I don't see how you could, if you're in California, even get an attorney on your team to oversee the file. I'm not going to do litigation, but I can push on the other side if necessary, if they're not performing, if they're not closing on time, if they have a lender, if they're trying to buy a home and they're not able to move in on time, I can push and make sure the transaction goes through because I'm a lawyer and my letters frequently work. I can help when escrow or title causes problems. Even if your own buyer is causing problems, it's nice to have an attorney on the team. Otherwise, I'm going to serve as your real estate consultant, a second opinion, and your solar home expert anywhere in the country. I can help you save money, even if you're not buying solar. All you got to do is, I can refer it out. All you have to do is click. Like right now, there's other services offering to find you the best real estate agent in the country. And you know what? They get a referral fee from that real estate agent. I'm saying, let's do the same. I'll be price competitive or better, and I'm going to make a better offer to you all the way around because I'm bringing more information than probably a non-agent picking up the phone, taking your number, referring you out, and taking your money and taking the money from the agent you're being referred to. Same thing as if you're doing it on Zillow. You click on it, you're talking to the buyer's agents. You know what happens. They're getting paid. You're not for the work. So conclusions and final thoughts. I love owning a solar home. You might too. Let's see if we can get that done for you. Go to winnerscheck.com. You're going to probably click through or give an email. If you see this video, you can just skip right through to the strategy session. And I look forward to working with you. Thanks. Talk to you later. John McConnin, winnerscheck.com.